Hi, everyone. Today I want to talk about lifting. And if you're fairly new to watercolor, lifting simply means that you're pulling up the color off the paper and exposing white. Now, once you have the white paper, you can then color it in again with your paint or make it soft or add some shades to it. But it's important to know how to lift in general. So I'm going to first start with quickly going through lifting, and then I'm going to go into bokeh circles. So here we go. So for lifting, and I'm just going to use an 8. Have some paper towel here that's well loved. I use it over and over, just keep it next to me. And for lifting, you take anything, any color, and you put your watercolor brush into water, and then you begin the lifting process after you wring it out. If you think of wringing out a washcloth, that's the idea. So don't start dry, but take out a lot of the excess water. So water, wring it out. And let's just say that I want to make a mark on this blue sky for some weird reason. There's no reason for it, but it's a good example. So I'm going to take, now this one's very dry. I'm going to show you this one I made right before I started. And they work fine either way. So I'm rinsing again. Keep in mind that it's going to take several layers of gently lifting. I rinsed. I took off excess water. You don't want it slopping. And I'm just making this little ovally shape. You can also take paper towel and blot in between. It won't disturb the dry paint around it, but it will ease with lifting. Now I can stop there if I want, or if I want to go even lighter, I'll do an extra layer or maybe even 2 of lifting in that same method I just showed you. Now, this is useful if you're doing, you're painting flowers and you want to lift a little gentle area. You're painting a home, you want to have highlights on a face, or anything you can think of. You need to know how to lift. You can use any size brush, and of course, you'll have a smaller or larger, depending on the brush area that you worked on. Now, this has been dry for a while. It's just a scratch paper that I've been using. And I hope you use your scratch papers too. Just tear them apart. If you've got a watercolor that you started on or you tried something, and once it's dry, just use it over again, because you always need scratch paper to try things. Now, this is an example of one that's only surface dry. I'm not lifting any colors, but it hasn't been dried for such a long time. So I'm using the same system. I dip in the water and I lift. And this one's going to go much, much easier because it hasn't been dried until it's bone dry. So here is my mark on that one. And again, any size brush will give you some kind of reaction, as you can see. And again, you're lifting the paint and exposing the white paper under it. You can also enhance that by other methods, but I want to get into lifting and my favorite way to create bokeh. I like to use templates, and here's one from Amazon. They have like little studs to keep it lifted off the plate, off the table, but we don't want to do that. We tip it upside down. We want it flush. And let's just do a fairly small one. I'll go with that size. Now you can use a normal brush if you want, but I prefer stiff kindergarten style brushes, and these are available. Let me know if you want a link to it. They're on Amazon. It's like $6 for like 30 of them. I'm doing the same thing. I'm swishing. I'm tapping off excess. It doesn't keep a lot because it's synthetic and stiff. It's like a snap brush, but probably even stiffer. But use a synthetic brush. And while I'm still holding it down, I'm going to lift that way. Now I can leave it like that. And sometimes I don't want it stark white, but other times I do want to go further. And so I'm going to do a second layer, same thing. As you can see, I'm going around the edge and I'm just lifting, depending on the quality of your paper. Don't scrub too harsh, or because you're going to kind of ruin the top layer and release a lot of those little fuzzies from the cold press watercolor paper. So I first tap down like that. When I'm done, I tap it down and then I lift the template and then I tap once more. And there is a real clean, easy circle. Now, if I want to paint on top of that, so that I have, for example, just keeping my my theme of a sun or something, I can just paint right on top of it and the sun will be nice and bright and easy. Whereas if I did the sun on top of the blue, I'm using lemon yellow, you can see you're going to have a greenish look, right? So this does two things. One, it gives you a perfect circle, which are hard to paint perfect circles. But secondly, it allows you to have a clean background so that you can really have something very, very bright. I love Bokeh for cards, and I grabbed a few of my Christmassy kind of holiday cards. First of all, that's how I ended up with that. I used a fluorescent paint on top of that sun. Here are just some candles for any season. Again, different size bokehs, and then I painted on top of them. Staying in the holiday spirit for the next three, just to give you examples. This was some poinsettias, and I did a variety of sizes and looks, and I kept them very faint so that and then I splattered with paint too, but I wanted it to almost look like twinkling lights in the background of this pretty poinsettia plant. Here's a red poinsettia. I did the exact same thing. But in this case, I also sprinkled some brush show. Brush show, if you haven't figured out the sprinkle color, it is iridescent flash. Iridescent flash brush show. I just sprinkled it on real gently and I sprayed it with water just to create this nice little holiday sparkle feel for the background of these poinsettias. And finally, here are a couple of, in fact, this is a in love married couple, no doubt, cardinals, the man and the woman. And I splattered some white paint, put it on the top of the branch as if it were snow on top. And then I decided to add the twinkling effect of beautiful bokeh, B-O-K-E-H. If you're not familiar with it, I didn't color them in. I lifted them. Some I overlapped in different sizes. Some I made reasonably bright. Some I kept fairly dark and dribbled over. Just a wide variety of them. You don't want to put them in a pattern like polka dots. You want them done in an artful, random way. But this was another one with bokeh. Do me a favor if you're enjoying some of these. I'm fairly new with YouTube, although I'm not new at all with watercolor or watercolor instruction. I love to share any little tips and tricks that I come up with. And I hope that you will enjoy them by subscribing. I'm thinking it's down here. I don't know where it is, but would you hit the subscribe button and then you'll be notified when I have things that may be of interest to you. I also have a Patreon account, patreon.com/Cindra, C-I-N-D-R-A. Don't even need my last name for it. Hope you keep in touch, and I hope we can be besties in the world of watercolor. Thanks so much for popping in. Hope it was helpful to you and you had fun with these ideas.